From there?
Yeah, definitely. Incredibly proud of our football team. They have had a really, really tough 3-game stretch, and to be able to come out of that non-conference schedule 2-2 is big time. Easily could have laid down after the SMU game. We felt like it got a little loose, and they came to work extremely hard in practice. They were dialed in. They were focused. The 2 words of the week this week were focus and discipline. We knew kind of what type of game it would be with the UT Martin guys. And we were able to put a really good game together. Offensively, we were able to move the ball efficiently, get some big plays. Third down efficiency was much, much improved. Defense, I thought it was pretty lights out performance for the ones. Again, third down, we got off the field when we needed to. We created some turnovers, and overall, really good day for the Bears.
Yeah, Coach, turning 3 turnovers into 3, basically just over first quarter touchdowns. How big was that, just for tonight, and just kind of just what you've seen from this defense? 'Cause I think going into the year, that was the group we were kind of wondering about.
Sure.
And they've kind of really shown out these past 3 games.
Yeah, there's a bunch of new faces. That's probably why you had some concerns. I don't think I was far behind you there, but it's really good to see them coming together. And we talked about it as a team about turnover ratio, as well as not just getting field goals off turnovers, getting 7 points, and that continues to just show up every single time we win a game, is get points after big turnovers. And we did that, and I didn't look at our red zone efficiency, but same thing there. You don't want field goals, you want touchdowns, and they did a great job.
I mean, how big, going into conference play, how big is it mentally to have this kind of complete game going into, the games that really matter?
It's huge. It's huge. And I still don't think we've put together a full 4 quarters. Obviously, we got some young guys in that was really, really good. That's an exciting time because those guys work really hard behind the scenes, and nobody gets to see them shine except if you put together a game like that, and just seeing their smiles and seeing their faces. And the coolest thing to me is watching the old heads that when they take their pads off, get to hang out with them and cheer them on and pump them up. It was good, and I think we're really, really focused on what we need to do moving forward to go into conference play and really compete.
Kind of talk about third downs, and we had some kind of not really happy with the results last week, and then now you've got 5 and 10, and then 1 and 1 for fourth downs. And what have you been working on last week to get to that point?
Yeah, I'm big on you get what you emphasize. Last week in practice, that was a huge point of emphasis for our entire team, offense and defense. And we had great plans. The offensive staff and the defensive staff, I feel like we've had great plans each week, and the execution by the players. Last week we talked a little bit about, you were asking about the issues, and you just got to execute at times. And we executed at a high level tonight, and that's what happens with the score when you do those good things.
Usually with these helmets, we can't really see emotions, but that first touchdown from Jacob, he was grinning ear to ear. What do you think of his first 2 QB keepers?
Yeah, it was great. And Jacob's a gamer, man. The best part about Jacob is he doesn't rattle. A lot of guys, they might have an off game, and all of a sudden they go in the tank. He's just not that guy. He knows what we need from him as a team, and it's just he was vibrant all day, like you mentioned, with him smiling, and that's good to see from him. He's Mr. Stoic sometimes. Cutting a smile is not a bad thing. Cheering on, having a big high five with some teammates, that's the good stuff. So I was really proud of Jacob, and especially the way he was able to bounce back from last week.
It seemed like a kind of game where you think maybe a Shamar would get 15 carries, but you guys are still able to kind of stick with more aerial attack. What were you kind of seeing from their defense, what they gave you to where you kind of kept Jacob going downfield?
Yeah, UT Martin, they play a lot of bare front, and they load the box, and we're a staff that takes what they give you. If they're going to load the box and I'll let you run the football, we need to distribute it evenly amongst the perimeter and find a way to win games. I'm not big on just forcing the issue and just running just to run. Obviously, whatever the score was, we like scoring touchdowns, and that's what they were giving us, and that's what we were able to exploit a little bit and get some points on the board.
Can you talk about Dash? I know we had a couple of career highs tonight.
I am unbelievably proud of Dash, and it's not even about his game. He's become a leader in the locker room. He's become a voice that guys listen to and respect. And last year he didn't have the production he wanted, and he could have transferred, he could have done all these different things, but the way I feel about Dash and the human being that I've seen him become and the playmaker, I'm smiling ear to ear just because that's rare now in our college game. Everybody wants to jump ship, everybody thinks the grass is greener. for him to stay and stick it out and become the best version of himself as a Missouri State Bear, I'm really proud of Dash.
And the series is obviously the 5th game of that recent 5-game series. The other 4 were really close. What did it kind of mean to kind of end it, or for the foreseeable future on a resounding note? And what was it about this year that made it maybe so much different than previous years as far as the result?
Yeah, it meant a lot to these guys. We talked about it all week, that it's been close games. We got to put together a full 4 quarters, and the emotion was high. Everybody talks about, oh, did you have a lull at the lightning delay? No, they were in there. They knew what they needed to do. They were hungry, and we wanted to make sure that we put a stamp on the end of the series. So Coach Simpson does a great job. Hopefully we won't see those guys again, because they're a well-coached football team. He does a nice job with the roster each and every year, and I have a ton of respect for him.
And then, this concludes non-conference play. How would you kind of assess things have gone, these 4 weeks as you head into Western Kentucky?
I think they've gone really well. I think we've continued to get better every single game. Different people you don't want the same players to be talked about in each time we get together and chat. You want different guys to have great games, and that shows a full team. Offense, defense, special teams. And I think we've continued to progress, and we're trending in the right direction, and we'll be ready to go for conference play.
And how do you think your offensive line did? You had to make some changes, obviously with injuries. You kind of been, you look back to the spring, Hudson goes down, and Gary, tight end, and then Christian, so you kind of had to piece some stuff together. So what do you kind of think they did?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a mesh unit. You've seen a bunch of faces that you're not used to seeing in there. Coach Halpin, our offensive line coach, has done really well with those guys. Kind of in camp, we had a little sense of, we didn't really know exactly who we wanted to be, so it was nice to kind of see that back work come to fruition tonight when we needed to kind of move some guys in some different places, see some different bodies. And again, the O-line is a super tight-knit group. They believe in each other, and we're going to continue to get better.
This kind of transformed into one of the most scrappy rivalries you guys got, and I think you kind of talked about it with how close they've been in the last few years, and kind of one of the closest things that MSU's got to a real rival right now. And so you're going to kind of try to continue it going forward, and I know you're not the ultimate authority
Sure.
on whether a game gets scheduled or not, but
I think those games are good for everyone. I think it's great for the fans. I think it's great for the teams. Anytime you get a really good matchup where there's a little bit of bad blood brewing, I think we had a fight about 5 years ago after the game or close to it. Guys remember that, and that's one thing that, we were able to work towards their emotion a little bit this week, get them kind of geared up, and they came out and shined when the lights were bright.